Ooh, all right, we're on.
Good.
Ready.
We're live.
We're live.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
With big smiles.
Welcome back, Will.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm really good.
Nice to
Welcome
see
back, Greg.
Hello.
We've done a podcast before, do you remember?
We have,
It was
yes.
a long time ago. We
It
were
was
in a
while back,
cafe.
Yeah, we were at, I don't think that cafe exists anymore.
No, it's still a cafe, but it's been rehomed and re-owned
Yeah.
several times.
Yeah, twice, I think.
It's a similar chair, though. Was it an armchair, wingback chair?
We've got a
like this?
consistent
I
aesthetic
don't
we
know.
tried to make.
I mean, this is obviously your chair.
It's a style I enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was always my dream to own chairs like this. I thought I'll retire to my office, surround myself with books, I'll just smoke a cigar and get a whiskey, and I'll just feel smart about all the stuff that I've done. But then instead of waiting until I retired, I just bought them on Facebook Marketplace. I just literally just bought them. I thought, I'm not going to wait until I retire. I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah,
Just going to go for it.
Yeah, good.
So today, I am joined by two fantastic guests. We've got my beautiful and magical co-host, as always, it's Will Hukin.
Magical being the main word there.
I think beautiful's the main word.
Oh! Stop it.
I wore a pink t-shirt, but I had to change it because you were making me sweat.
I have that effect on you, and only you.
Literally.
And we're also joined by the most annoyingly jacked physio that exists.
You're looking tanned as well.
I'm tan! Go home,
Got
Greg!
a lot of golf, yeah.
How golf?
That's why I was waiting
You
for
definitely
Of course
golf.
I play golf.
Of
Of
course
course
he
I
golf.
that. I was waiting for that.
Those shorts have got golf balls in them, I know they have.
Stop it now. It's too early in the podcast for that level of flirting.
But no, we do have Gregg Roberts here. And
Gregg Roberts,
Wow.
I think round of applause.
Thanks for having me.
Round of
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
applause. One of the best physiotherapists in the world, in my opinion.
Wow,
I'll tell you straight.
It's a bold statement.
You know me.
I'm hoping
I'll
can...
flirt in person and behind your
I
back.
can back
You
it
know
up.
me. I don't know how you can have hair that's that blonde and be that tanned.
That's true, actually.
Now, how does that work?
Chuffing
There's an
Tintin. Go
unfair
home.
level of
we
genetics.
don't need you.
When God was giving out the
all this
genetics, decent amount got partitioned over to you, literally. Have you ever done the 23andMe genetic thing? No.
No.
Oh, come
No.
on. You've got to be.
Just to find out where.
Could get a
It's
bit.
got to be Viking style for you.
I think it is, yeah. I think it's Scandi, for sure.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Oh, yeah.
Mine was.
Was it?
It said if you go back more than 4 generations in my family, it said fully Scandinavian.
And yours is
Full
so blonde,
Scandi.
it's see-through.
It said Father Time sorted my hair out. That's Father Time is my barber. No, God giveth, God taketh away.
Comes to us all.
It might not to you. Your hairline looks excellent. So does
Wonderful
yours, to be
hairdo.
fair. Your hairline's looking
We
nice.
should be good. We should
Yeah,
be
your
good.
hairline's,
okay.
your hairline's looking nice.
Hopefully fine.
I had full blonde hair until I started testosterone replacement therapy when I was about 18 or 19. And then within 1 year,
Dropped.
Yeah.
it just started going back there. And when it got to
Real thin.
I was going to say, when was the point at which you were
quite
like,
fast,
it's gone?
quite fast.
Okay.
There was no combing over of anything.
Okay.
By the time it
Or
got to
forward.
my
Or silent.
no direction, no direction. My father's bald,
Okay.
so I already knew my fate.
Okay.
And by the time it had
was
got
sealed.
to back a little bit,
Yeah.
I've not got my wallet, otherwise I'd show you my driving license because I shaved my head just after that.
Okay.
So
that was
I've
the
got
final
I've got
picture.
hair and no beard on my driving
Don't
license.
Yeah, it's,
Don't
not,
ever
it's
change the
upside down
picture.
Connor,
Yeah.
and it's not the way I'd know him. Or love him. Go stay like
Definitely.
this.
No, and then I just buzzed it.
Yeah.
But it suits you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You've
it's
never
good,
seen me
it's
any
good.
other way, so
No,
you're definitely
that's true,
biased.
yeah.
So I
That's
appreciate
true.
that.
Because the way I pick you out of a crowd is I look for the 3 Death Stars of head and delts.
Yes.
That's you. Boom. That's you.
Got those round shoulders.
And head. It all just.
Hell yes. All
Like a
bald.
cloud. He's like, whoop, whoop, whoop.
All bald.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
Shiny and streamlined.
Yeah. No hair. You can't have hairy shoulders.
Oh, no.
Hairy
No,
shoulder
no.
or back hairs.
No,
real.
no, no.
Not real.
These things can't exist. Back
Not
hair.
real. Some poor guy was crying.
These things are not real. Anyway, I think we should start the podcast.
Probably.
Because we're actually on a time limit. You've got to leave by what time?
About one-ish.
Yes, 1ish. All right.
We've got a good time.
We've got questions for you, sir.
Cool.
We've got questions for you.
Good.
The first thing I'd like to go through, though, is could you give us a little bit of a background of who you are and how you got here?
Okay.
Because obviously today is the peak of your career.
Okay.
Obviously you can
the pinnacle.
You can tell your
all
children
downhill
and
from
wife that you've made it now.
At
You
least
can
you made
say,
it on the Slim Society.
call your mother. Look, mummy, I'm on TV.
Right home about it.
This today being on this show with me and Will's obviously the pinnacle.
the pinnacle.
It's the
This
peak
is
of
it.
your career today. So
I'd have to
how
agree
have
with
you
that.
made it to here, Greg?
So I studied physio in Sheffield. Worked in the NHS initially, just because I suppose it's an invaluable thing to kind of gain your experience, deal with a lot of different people.
Wait, so you went to university
Yeah,
in Sheffield and did physio?
Did physio.
And then started at the NHS?
And then worked in NHS initially.
As a physio?
As a physio,
Yes.
yeah. So you do like rotation, so you kind of do, a bit like a junior doctor would, you do 3 to 6 months in each kind of setting and kind of learn your stripes, so to speak. But I always kind of knew I didn't want to stay in the NHS, not because I didn't feel like I didn't owe it that. I just, I kind of knew which direction I felt I wanted to work in, and that was kind of musculoskeletal physio. So from there...
Being jacked professionally.
Muscular and skeletal physio as opposed to what other types?
You get neurophysios, so physios who look after kind of patients who suffered strokes or had brain injuries.
Interesting.
And then you get the respiratory side, which with COVID and all that's been pretty mega. So they look after people's chests basically. So they chest clearance techniques. These are the things that people wouldn't even know physios did.
This is why you see the face I'm pulling. I'm thinking, what even is it?
Everyone just assumes physio is like the guy who runs on with the magic spray. You know, that's kind of what everyone...
The magic spray?
The magician, yeah.
Well, I don't know. A player goes down on the field, oh, here comes the physio, he's got the magic spray. Oh, he's better now, he's fine. The game can go on.
I literally said this to you earlier, didn't I?
Yeah,
one of the questions... I'm not going to ask you this question now, but one of the questions I've got written down for you... is I wanted to ask you what you at some point what you think a physiotherapist's role is in health. Yeah, because I think a lot of people think that you're Jesus and you've got magical healing hands.
Absolutely.
And you go to the physio and you just
don't let the illusion down.
No, and it obviously
what's this magical spray?
There's water typically. It's just,
what are you kidding?
It's metaphorical.
I don't know if this is a joke or a real thing. I don't
know.
It's
a joke.
I know nothing about sports.
No, so it's like generally speaking, yeah. No, but that's what most people, when they think, what is it? Who's a physio? Oh yeah, he's the guy who, he stands on the side of the sports field and runs on when a
if
player
I think
is
physio,
wasting time.
I think what are the bands called?
Theraband.
Theraband.
Yeah, Theraband.
I think Theraband.
That actually
Theraband wine
means well that's good in a way because it means at least there's some thought of relating it to exercise and some form of strength training element, shall we say.
Yeah. See, these are the things that I just like about Gregg's brain.
Yeah.
This is why he's the best physio.
It's like, when you ask a question and he goes, this is more important.
He's like, Theraband wanker.
Yeah.
Well, but he's trying something. He's at least trying to do something with that Theraband.
Yeah.
And just using his hands and pressing on something.
Yeah.
So that's...
snapping some shit.
Yeah, exactly. Just being really passive.
And so after you left the NHS,
NHS, and I did private sport. I worked in sport as well. I worked with GB Boxing for a few years, which was kind of alongside working in private practice, and then I've been at the White House Clinic now for coming up for what, 8-9 years.
Which is up at Crooks and both.
Yeah, that's our head office. Yeah, so we've got nine clinics within the group, kind of spread through South Yorkshire, Derbyshire. 3 in Sheffield. I say 3 because 2 of them are really small. They're just like the one-room jobs that we have at the gym here and at Virgin Active. And then 6 others. Team of like 22 physios.
Yes.
It's growing. It's good.
Yes.
It's really good.
That must feel nice, yeah.
And hopefully, all good physios, all really good clinicians. That's kind of our ethos really, is to kind of give good solid advice and
I agree.
Dispel a lot of myths really.
You and the White House Physiotherapy Clinic are the only physios that I ever recommend anybody to ever.
Me too. Doing something right then.
Me too. Yeah, all the clients that I've ever recommended.
And do you know why that is literally? This is
on.
half my fault and half not my fault.
Yeah.
Is I have never met any other physios than you guys that are actually decent.
Okay, well that's good
I think
to hear.
most people are god awful. So, literally, some of the I don't interfere too much because it is literally not my area.
Yeah.
So I've got loads of, obviously I'm a nutritionist.
Yeah.
So I've got flipping nearly 250 nutrition clients online, and they sometimes hurt themselves in day-to-day life and go to physios and then feed back to me the advice that they get.
Yes.
Sometimes you should see my face, I just stare blankly.
Well, Connor, you've asked me a couple of questions on one of those 2 bits of feedback, and I've also been quite astounded to hear what I'm...
Some of the advice,
it's
just... The things they recommend are just not real.
It is, and
so
it's sad. It's like any profession, isn't there? PTs, dentists, doctors, any of them. There's bad ones.
Nutritionists as well.
And sadly, the bad ones always kind of drag the reputation of the profession into the floor. So people can get quite weary, can't they? That's the thing. If you have a bad experience, if you see a bad physio, you're not likely to go to see another physio. Let's be fair. It's quite difficult to go and then see another physio, isn't it?
True.
Unless you're deep into the industry, you're not to know that there are
good and
there are different avenues and there are good and there's such a scale.
Well, I think that's the same for any I suppose any job where people are entrusting their they're entrusting of your knowledge. They want, they come to you for help, and if you help them in a bad way, then they're going to be like, well, they're all like that.
All right, I've got a question then. Let's play a game.
Okay.
Greg, you ask me
Yeah.
why most nutritionists suck.
Okay.
And I'll tell you. Then I'm going to ask you why most personal trainers suck, and you're going to tell me, because I think these are.
And I'm going to ask you
yes, exactly.
why most physios suck. and
Because
you're gonna tell me.
I think these two, for me and you, are really obvious and easy answers, and I don't really understand why most physiotherapists suck.
Okay.
So you ask me first.
Why do most nutritionists suck?
Most nutritionists suck because it's not a regulated industry, and you don't
Okay.
even technically need a qualification to call yourself a nutritionist. You can just make an Instagram and
And
just
be one.
start saying things
Okay.
until people believe you, and you can
Okay.
just take people's money. So you can get qualifications, but you don't technically need to. So it's flipping cowboy land.
There you go.
True that.
I think that's pretty obvious, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
So,
that- yeah,
so
makes a lot of
Will,
sense.
why do most personal trainers suck?
In an enveloping statement, something to do with the fact that the cut-off point for like vocational knowledge that you actually need, that is both in like terms of the qualifications you needed to get to be PTing, and both what is the kind of agreed upon knowledge level you need is just too low.
So what you're saying, the
At entry
qualifications
level.
sucks.
The entry
Yeah,
level,
entry level.
base level knowledge
Level 3
is just
personal
too
training.
low. Yeah,
Yeah, the qualification required to start.
yeah, they just don't know enough.
Yeah, because it teaches you a lot of
And
stuff
then
on level 2 and 3, but it's
yeah.
all the wrong stuff.
That
It's-
bleeds into, like, I would say in general it's a perspective issue, is that they don't have enough perspective of the industry, of their own training,
So
of the client's goals to be able
Yeah.
to localize an approach. It's too general,
So
it's too...
with something like that,
misinformed.
is there a way that there could be like almost a hierarchy, which would be more, people have to kind of give more evidence of their qualifications?
tried this before, but it's
and
never
didn't
worked.
work.
Nah.
Okay. I wondered that.
what's it called? That thing where people...
So you can,
Reps.
because you can all do level 1, right?
REPPE.
Okay.
PP, yeah.
But you can all do level 1, and then you're a PT. You can
This
just
is
have
it.
a personal trainer.
This is it.
Whether you're like extremely knowledgeable and qualified.
Well, for example,
this is
the level 2 qualification is what you need to be a gym instructor. To
Okay.
then be on the gym floor, give out any amount of advice that you
Advice,
want, and
okay.
teach classes and such.
Okay.
And that does not extend to physio advice. But
Okay.
if someone walks up to you on the gym floor and asks about physio advice, I get it near enough every day.
Yeah.
They can give it if they want it,
Yeah,
you
of
know.
course. Yeah.
And then level 3 is the next stop, and that opens you up to fully personal training.
Okay.
And so the jump from level 2, you need this to exist on a gym floor and be basically a cleaner with a first aid qualification, is basically what that person is, to your free range to give anyone any advice,
Any
you,
advice
want,
you want.
is too small. It's too small.
Yeah, because the problem with level 3 is it's half GCSE PE, because level 3 is GCSE level. It's half GCSE PE and half GCSE biology put together.
put together.
So it's got heart, lungs, bones, like...
Yeah.
I for some reason can remember like the flipping structure of a bone.
Exactly.
You know, like
yeah.
So it teaches you
muscles
stuff, and it's like it's decent, correct background physiology knowledge.
But then
it's not actually applicable to personal training.
The world
Yeah.
of everything, which is
Like you said, they don't teach you really how to make personal training programs. They don't teach you how to coach
I
people,
was going to
how
ask
to
about
be
like exercise
personable.
prescription itself, and like kind of
yeah.
having to
Not
learn
much,
about
not much about
rep ranges or
And so
a little bit, but just not loads.
Okay.
Does that bleed then?
Loaded.
Let's finish off the game. Does that bleed into physiotherapy?
Does,
Why
yeah,
are most
definitely.
physiotherapists?
But you have to go to you have to go to
shit?
university forever,
so
don't
the-
you? So
see
what's
the-
the game?
But
Well, do you agree that most physios are shit as we do? And could you say why? Or do
I
you
think
disagree?
I think there's a real split. There's a lot of very, very good physios.
Yeah.
A lot of very
That's why I
knowledgeable
said I
physios.
think it's half my fault, because I actively don't know many physios.
Yeah.
I don't actively go out and search for good physiotherapists. I just found you guys, and whether you know this
Everything
or
else
not,
you've heard
I
has been magic.
vetted you the first time I met you by
I got put through it
Yeah.
without knowing.
I was asking you questions on purpose that I
No,
know
I remember.
nobody knows
I
the
remember,
answer
but
to.
I love that.
To see if you were going to lie.
I did it as well. I
I
asked you questions that I knew the answer to.
I actually like being asked the questions because
Yeah.
I think it's great. My approach to treatment is I like people to understand why we're doing something. You cannot expect someone to buy into what you're asking them to do if you don't explain the reason for it. So often I have this is the thing that bugs me the most about physios is someone will go see a physio, they'll have a course of treatment. So we're not talking like one session, we're talking a course of treatment. It doesn't work for whatever reason. So they'll come try somewhere else. They'll come in and I'll say, right, so you've had some physio. What was your diagnosis? Or what was your provisional diagnosis? Oh, nothing. I wasn't given one. You weren't told what was wrong with you.
That's the reason
And
why
they
you
weren't
went.
told
Told what was wrong
That's
with
the
you.
only reason why you were
And
there.
they're like, no, but I was given some exercises to do. I was like, okay, and what were they for? Well, I don't know.
I would just go told
Awful.
to do them.
So, well,
Awful. One
okay,
of the
well,
things I love that you do is when you send people, or they can get an app and you
Yeah,
send
it's
them.
great.
It's
That's
honestly,
really- yeah, so that-
honestly, dude, it's a top service. My
that was-
clients feedback to me that they
Yeah.
love it because they can't remember what you've told
No,
them.
that's brilliant. And no, let's get it right. You know, gone are the days where you've got to draw stick man for your
Oh,
exercise.
no.
Yes.
You know, that's the thing. You know, people need that reminder, and it's something like, I mean, we invested in that bit of software just before kind of COVID struck, and actually it
worth
was the
it.
one thing that was amazing because people have that, and it's interactive. So even when you're not with a patient, it feels like you've got that kind of pathway to communicate in a way which is still kind of
Is this just a bank of all
yeah,
of your
but basically,
physio
so
exercises
we
on an
just
app?
we pull the exercises which are appropriate for what we want,
Perfect.
change the rep ranges, put the
They've got a little
add-
video they
there's
can
videos,
click
but you can
showing them
tweak-
how to do it.
So the videos are set, but you can tweak the writing. So if there's something that's slight variation of it, you just put that in the text, and it's specific, and you know, each time you might adjust it. So if they return, right, you progress from that. Let's remove that one. Let's add this one. It's a great
That's
look
pretty
tool.
nice.
It's
really
an
cool.
excellent
Yeah, it's
service.
cool. Something for you guys as well, which I think that type of software, but it's
That
Yeah.
concept is something that I played around with the idea of,
Yeah.
something that is just a dumping ground of
Yeah.
information that you can send people to.
Yeah, yeah,
And be like,
yeah.
go and fish and play and enjoy
Yeah.
all the information I've put here for you.
That's
Yeah.
good. No, you're right. But and then, yeah, I mean, the other reason, just coming back to the question,
Yeah.
I think again, certainly absolutely in the private physio world, is the passive treatments and this belief that you know you must come back for 12 sessions, otherwise your spine will collapse. Or this is the sort of thing. It becomes that business kind of model versus actually, whereas you know we found at the Wales Clinic actually, you know, if you provide the correct treatment and you see people for the number of times they are supposed to be seen, at some point they will come back because people will have another injury. It's not a case of let's just hold them back week to week to week because we've got capacity to tell this person what we want and they'll believe us. It's nonsense, and that's not how you build, you know, a reputation of being a a good clinic. It's kind of
Unfortunately, a lot of people who
scaremongering. There's huge amounts of scaremongering, I think.
there's a lot of people who are not. They're not very honest and trustworthy, like you said. We've spoke about this privately before. How some physios, like you said, they'll play on people's insurance.
Yeah.
Where they'll say, "Oh no,
Yeah.
we can't do it." I literally asked you about this because somebody I know, one of my clients, got advice and they said we can't start. The physio told them they can't start any flexibility or strengthening work until they've had 12 sessions of massage with them.
I've never heard.
I'm thinking. I thought, and you know me, I'm not a physio, so
Yeah,
I'm thinking
yeah.
maybe.
I
I mean,
just-
I'll check. And you said to me, this sounds like.
Therein lies the issue. Someone like yourself that is in the industry and is smart has a suspension
That's
of
fine.
disbelief.
Yeah.
Because and that's you.
And
Joe blogs off the street is just going to.
Yeah, the lady don't know.
Yeah,
The lady
let's get
thinks
it
that
right as
sounds
well.
fine.
When you go see someone for advice, you shouldn't be needing to enter that conversation with assertiveness to be like, can you give me the justification? You're going there for help. So you're trusting of that person's
Yes.
opinion.
And I think that's one of the things actually is knowing like how would you put it? Like, you know how you were saying before that you can often bring up a topic that I don't know much about to do with the industry, and it's weird that I don't know it because I'm in the industry, but it's because I only know the sort of immediately practical things that you need to know.
Okay.
I think it's necessary to teach people why they're doing things because there's a gap between doing something that someone has told you to do because they've told you to do it versus understanding why.
Yeah.
And having a sort of reverse engineering process in your own brain
Yeah.
of knowing that this is why, and so that's that I need to do that.
There's
Because
yeah.
then immediately, if you just walk in somewhere like, if I go into a physiotherapist, even though I might not know the specific fix that I need, I will know whether it's on the right track or not
Or
just
not.
by reasonable
Yeah.
deduction, because
Yeah.
I already have a reasonable grasp
Of it,
of
yeah.
how musculoskeletal
But Joe
stuff
Blogs,
works.
average person attending doesn't.
Exists the issue.
They're
yeah.
there, they're going for the help
And they
because
can
they
play
don't know
on
the
that.
answer. So, it's a tricky one. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I hear all sorts of weird things. So when patients come in and they've been given an explanation for this, and you're like, right, okay. And the thing is, it's difficult because you can't.
Yeah.
You also don't want to be there, kind of bashing people in your profession and being like, that's nonsense. That
Because
is
it also
rubbish.
doesn't do anything for your
It's
legitimacy.
not our duty to report that person or kind of.
Oh, see, that's interesting because if somebody gets terrible nutrition advice, I will say that's bullshit.
That's bull. No.
I will literally call it out. But if somebody gets terrible
Yeah.
physio advice, I don't
Don't get me wrong. No,
I
there are
don't
times-
interrupt them because it's not my
there
professional
are,
area.
There are absolutely times when I will be like, no, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
But
You know, if it's not my area, though,
Yeah.
I don't. And
It's tricky.
if one of my
So
nutrition
I
clients,
think that's the sort of thing of saying like, I don't agree with that. Someone else might find value in that, but that's not how I work. That's not my
you're
approach.
just way more polite than me. you're just so nice and polite.
He works in a clinic under a roof is the difference.
That's true.
You run around
We're on
with
pirate
sewers.
radio right now. We do pirate
Like a
radio,
little
bro.
pirate boy, yeah. Little rat child. That's what you are. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
It's difficult. I think
Because it also does, it voids your own legitimacy a little bit. Because
It
at
does.
that point, it's just he said, shed, she
Exactly.
said from their point
That's
of view.
why I
Exactly.
don't do it.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it gets into a battle between my opinion
And
and the clients in the middle, and the nutritionist
Yeah.
says this and the physio says this.
Yeah.
But if the nutritionist is saying stuff about the physio,
Yeah.
that's not my area, so I can't.
You just
So I just have to, unless they directly ask me,
Yeah.
what do you think to this?
Yeah.
Then I'll say, well,
yeah, that's right.
I've never heard of anything
And as
like
you said,
that.
you
and I
like
would
hit
get
the
a
nail on
second
the head
opinion
there.
if it was me.
The client's in the middle, and they're the most important person. So that's the one we need to really be
Yes.
focused on.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what he said or she said,
Yes.
really, unless
Unless the help's directly dangerous. Unless
exactly.
someone's giving them dangerous
Yeah,
advice, then
yeah,
I'll be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
ooh.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Like, it's tricky when that
Like
happens.
when, for example, I messaged you because one of my clients got advice that she couldn't start stretching or strengthening
Yeah.
until the massage thing. I thought this is hampering
No,
this
that's-
lady's
yeah.
actual recovery.
No, that's absolutely not absolutely. Because
So that's why I checked with
straight
you
away,
and then fed back
straight
that the
away,
physio
and
said
that's
that wasn't
that's a
real.
classic kind of business model that we'll see from a range of professions that's similar to ours. So like physios, chiropractors, osteopaths, all that. They'll have this kind of and you call it a business model. It is. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to like get the patient on board so that they believe that if they don't come for those hands-on sessions, they're going to fall down. And until they've got that kind of that belief of the patient, then they've got them hooked, and they know that they're going to be coming back for life. And I'm a firm believer that there is not any single condition, musculoskeletal, that needs ongoing physio for the rest of your life. That's not getting someone better.
Well, because physio should get you, assuming that physio should be hand in hand with some kind of physicality as well in the gym,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
training and so.
Yeah.
Physio is the stepping stone to get you to the actual fix,
Yeah.
which is a mechanically structured and sound physique that you
Yeah.
have tuned through every amount of training that you can
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
But the physio is just
Creating the
it's
window.
like taking the medicine so you can get to the point where
creating
you
the
can-
window, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
Yeah.
And so to that point, how much do you think a lot of physios suffer because they themselves aren't training? Like you yourself, you're a physical guy,
Big
and you
time.
train. And I think
Yeah.
another thing that gives you is like biofeedback yourself, rather than actually just being in the gym.
Yeah.
The actual biofeedback you get of having mind-muscle connection and knowing what it feels like to have a hip and to have
Absolutely.
a quad.
Oh, no, you're
you know,
right.
And then you can
Yeah.
apply that to your own
Yeah.
sessions and not look through this keyhole that a lot of physios look through. You can zoom out and see perspective and understand that, say, a knee issue might be an ankle and hip issue and
Absolutely.
not necessarily a knee
Yeah,
issue.
more biomechanics. Yeah, no, for sure. It's I think that process is kind of something you have to get grasp on quite early on. Really, it's but there's a lot of clinicians that don't. They'll even prescribe exercises that they perhaps they've even done themselves.
Yeah.
You know, so they're asking a patient to go and do some RDLs because they've got really tight hammies and weak glutes
Yeah.
or sciatic irritation, but they've never
So that physio doesn't know how to
done an
use their
RDL
glutes.
themselves.
Exactly. And they're trying to show like and then their knees all the way over here.
Yeah,
for-
exactly,
For
yeah.
like a valgus fix. It's like, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
One thing physios do, which really annoys me, is I feel like they don't probe into what the client already does enough. Because I have personal training clients as well,
Yeah.
or I have clients who I coach them for nutrition, but they do exercise.
Yeah.
Then they'll have a problem. Let's say it's a shoulder or a back problem, and they'll go to a physio, and the physio will give them TheraBand row, which sounds fine.
Yeah.
But I know they're already doing low row and barbell row and
Exactly.
dumbbell row.
It's no good.
3 times a week.
that-
So I'm
that-
thinking, what are we doing with
that-
this band? Sorry,
that-
why hasn't the physio checked with
Exactly.
you
That's
what
the
you
exactly.
already do?
Again, this is that's it.
not-
It's just it's just inappropriate prescription, isn't it? Really?
They're just giving people
Yeah.
the same basics.
is,
Oh, if you've got
yeah.
this, I'll give you this.
Exactly.
Without actually asking.
Yeah.
I just think, oh my God.
And what they're doing, what they're capable of doing, or even having checked what they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
You know, my bias is strength training. So I typically for most of all of my patients, my element of treatment will always the gist of it, the end of it is we'll get to the point where you are independently working on your strength, and that's the best thing to keep your body as resilient as it can be.
Oh wow, I'm so
to
glad.
to
See,
stop.
'cause we've never sat down and actually talked about
Yeah.
this stuff, and that's nice to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be, you know, and I have it with patients. They'll go, you know, it's countless times to get asked this question. Right, okay, would it be better if I came 3 times this week? No, no, absolutely not. Like it's doing that. Like you need to go away, do these exercises that I've given you. If you need a little loosen off, yes, that might give you a window for a couple of days to move a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But it's you going away and doing the work that's going to fix it.
It's exercise prescription, isn't it? And then they have to follow through.
They just want that quick fix.
Because I think that...
No, I think you're Jesus.
Is it not the hands?
I think you've got the healing hands.
Because a lot of physio, I think, relies on 2 things. Not prescription, but time fixing people, and people thinking it's the one time that they did the prescription.
Huge.
And then also the fact that people don't act, people are injured but don't know it because they don't test it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the gym, is everyone thinks people at the gym are injured more than other people. Everyone's got a fucking torn rotator cuff or something, but no one tests it because all you do is walk your dog.
Yeah.
That's the why. Yeah. That's why you haven't gone to the
point.
physio.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Time's an interesting one because you hit the nail on the head there. I think that has been a problem with a lot of physio and healthcare service for quite a long time, is that actually getting access to see the physio, whether that be through NHS or going to pay yourself, is almost impossible. So what tends to happen is people at day one of injury, they start to protect, guard, stop using, lose that muscle strength, all very, very quickly, get into these guarded patterns of behaviour. So by the time they actually see the physio 6 weeks from injury, they're in such a worse state than what they would have been if they just seen him at day one, and the physio says, right, okay, you've got this tweak, keep moving, keep doing everything as normal. Yeah, okay, there's 1 or 2 things that might be a bit sore, but in 4 weeks' time, this will be gone. Time will heal it. If they had that opportunity to access that straight away, a lot of the time people wouldn't even be needing to go the path of needing physio at some point.
Well, another question for you then that will lead on from that is that, do you find yourself, this is an assumption of mine, I assume that you fall back onto some bits of information, some percentage of your all of your knowledge that you use a lot more often than the rest of it? And is there a sort of pool of very recurring, not necessarily specific issues, but general fixes? Because I know that with my limited knowledge on physio, like I was saying earlier, I don't think there's been anyone in the gym that's come up to me and asked me a question that I haven't been able to fix, but most of the answers have been the same. Yeah. Like if it's a shoulder thing, along the lines of it's better to do something now than it is to wait and know what the specific issue is. I'm just like, this stuff, like,
general consensus. So I think if you look at like upper and lower limb separately, upper limb typically, for the vast majority of people these days, bearing in mind that the average Brit sits for about 9 hours a day, I think. So the majority of us will have some form of weakness in our kind of like lower trap, upper back area, which biomechanically starts off a whole chain of poor movement. So if you've got poor scapular and shoulder health, generally speaking, you're then leaving your whole entire arm at risk of developing
little finger as well.
Exactly, developing neck issues, rotator cuff issues, medial lateral elbow issues, wrist issues. General consensus if I see anyone with any upper limb issue, is always like, work on your lower scapular stability. So like anything to strengthen, get those scapulars pulled back, shoulders opened out. Posturally it helps a lot. But
the world needs more face pull.
Yeah, and that's absolutely. And that if you just prescribe that without people having pain or issues, it would prevent a lot of these things from occurring.
So the 2 exercises that I do as prehab for all of my clients as warm up, whatever upper body exercise we're doing, I've got a client with a band around here doing 2 sets of 15 of this stuff. Yeah. And if it's a lower body exercise, I'm going to lose my microphone.
Don't pull that. Don't pull the wire out.
We're going to do this one.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And the reason for so lower limb is, and this something I've seen.
No, wait, your microphone's gone off.
We're back.
Yes, wait a second. You just say
testing.
Yeah, it's good, we're on. All right.
We hear people, as you were, Greg.
Sorry about that.
So that's absolutely upper limb, and I almost think like if that was prescribed to the general population,
right? This is what I'm saying.
As like a rule, just do these.
Yes. Like in the gym, you walk through the door,
when you hit puberty at teen years, do these exercises as standard.
You have to do face pull.
Especially,
and then
anything for
one lower body exercise. What people have to do.
Yeah, so especially that lateral hip one that I found, because what I found as well is that that opens you up to so many of the principles that you need to do for every lower body exercise, like a tripod foot, knee nice and nicely entracked in the middle of the foot, ankle in line with the middle of the foot, glute medius engaged.
So that allows you to do compound things like
so
squats,
then that immediately stems to a squat, a split squat, a
Exactly.
stiff leg, a walking lunge.
I would say the biggest insufficiency we see in lower limb is poor lateral hip stability. So glute medius just not doing so that's the muscle on the outside of you, small one on the outside of you, not the big glute muscle at the back, but the one that sits towards the outside,
bum.
the one that basically stabilizes the entire lower limb.
What exercises do you do for that? Legs to the side and
you could do,
abduction?
so
legs outwards?
That airplane one I showed you is a good one for it.
Okay.
Illegitimize.
I was just taking the piss.
I know.
I suppose the easiest, the most simplest one would be just like a clam. That's like a sideline clam.
Yeah.
And then you add some resistance to
Bands,
that. And then if you're progressing that to kind of, typically if you're seeing someone who's doing compound lifts but has that deficiency, then it's just using things like resistance bands to encourage that switching on of that lateral hip. So
because it's
you guys
usually
are such muscle nerds.
it's a turning point of you get
God.
Well, you find people know nothing about how their foot works, and then one day they'll understand it, and it'll be really hard for them to do it, but they'll get it, and then it's just a case of do it.
Well, this is the thing. So a lot of issues we see in lower limb, knee pain, you could almost guarantee that at some point it stemmed from some instability in the hip. Pronated feet, this term of pronated feet.
Pronated means which way?
Rolling inwards.
Rolling inwards,
Flat-footed. Now, being flat-footed is actually a thing. That
That's a
does
real
happen.
thing, yeah.
But for the vast majority of people who are told they pronate, don't go and waste £100 on a pair of trainers that's going to correct your foot position.
Yeah.
Work on your lateral hip stability.
I fell for that when I was younger.
Yeah, but it is.
I got
It's,
some of them,
but it's so easy. And it's because that almost for far too long has been allowed to be accepted as a fix.
Well, hilariously,
not a long-term fix, but a short-term fix.
you can see with my feet, I had other way, if you would to call it supinated, supinated, and they still put chocks here on me. They still gave me
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Madness. Yeah.
Right, so...
Yeah, have we got any more questions for Greg?
I mean, I've got loads.
I'm enjoying nerding out.
I think we should start the podcast now. I think we should start this podcast now.
We've been riffing,
gentlemen.
we bounce off each other, it's how we go.
We
break microphones.
We've got 20 minutes left.
Cool, let's go.
I've got about 20 questions and you've got a few.
Okay.
Do you?
So these are like short fire, one fire.
It's
answers.
good. Well, it wasn't going to be, but now it's going to have to be.
Well, no, these ones are more short one fire.
Yeah, so short answers.
Okay.
Do you feel
short
ready?
answers, that's fine.
Number one. Are knots in muscles real?
No.
Yes! Fuck those knots. I knew it. That's why I asked it.
What are knots?
Yes. Yeah, why do people say this?
You can so dysfunctional muscle, a muscle that's become inactive, can develop areas of tightness. Now tightness can present and it might feel like you've got a knot. It's not. It's just typically weak muscle or unstable muscle.
An answer.
Set them on fire, Greg.
Using words.
Now there are, you might have heard of trigger points. There's trigger points. So there is a lot of evidence and theory that trigger points are these sort of areas of sensitivity within muscle groups. Now, I mean, there's evidence base that supports that. But again, the treatment for helping to resolve those would be the same. Strengthen the muscle.
Yeah.
Not stretch it.
Outcomes the same either way.
Lovely. So then, when a massage therapist or physiotherapist is saying, "Ooh, I can feel you've got lots of knots in your back," are they just liars?
I think what that does is gives the clinician or the therapist something they can use to gain trust of that person. So it might
through lies.
Well, yeah, but this is where it can use.
It's one of those sort of almost terms of endearments that any industry uses to simplify or articulate better.
But not such a bad word because you can't knot a muscle.
No, you
That's
can't.
Not a real thing.
No, and I think it can work, but it can kind of work both ways. Sometimes. I think sometimes there are some positive elements to this, but again, unless you can feel that there is actually some tension there, which is sometimes possible to feel.
Can you feel tension in muscles?
I think you can see it better than you can see it. So like you can look at someone's posture and see where they're tight.
That's definitely true.
So rounded shoulders, you tight through the pecs, typically.
But you can't. Can you feel?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think that comes with experience. But I don't think for 1 second any clinician could stand here and go, "I can feel a tear in your hamstring."
No,
that's nonsense.
Unless it was detached in half.
You can feel tension.
You can feel inactivity.
Yeah, and you can.
If you poked a glute that wasn't going, you know that was going.
Absolutely, and you can
feel. If you poked a front delt that was all
common
Death Starred up.
Exactly, common trigger points as well. There are ones where, like we know in the upper traps, there's going to be there's areas there's areas that are more sensitive than along the whole belly of the muscle. But but again, the whole theory of a muscle being in a knot is nonsense.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
An answer.
There'll be backlash for that. There'll be some backlash for that.
But you're right, so it's fine.
We're good.
I'll tell my patients that.
Yeah. Can you manipulate the fascia with manual therapies?
No.
Yes!
Yes! I love the fun you're having with it as well.
Yes.
No,
screw those fascia liars as well. Oh my lord.
Again, things like foam rollers, absolute waste of time.
Yes!
Yes!
No! We had a debate about this. I said screw you to foam rollers.
No! The only benefits that you might get.
Okay, so we're finding...
So there are some short-term benefits. So by applying pressure to a tissue that's tight, you will get sometimes a temporary sort of release of a neural stimulus. Yes. So it might, for a short time, desensitize that structure.
Yeah.
Which then,
pre-training.
That's exactly what I said.
Then can give you capacity to get more from the exercise.
Yes.
So there is
pre-training benefit.
But as a means of kind of coming home, as a means of coming home and rolling on it for half an hour because it's going to help your IT band, which is like concrete basically, is a nonsense.
Yes, you can't do anything to the IT band. I agree.
Sometimes find if I've got a patient who, stiff shoulder, frozen shoulder, something like that, a little bit of, loosening through, whether it be hands-on or, and then getting them to perform the movement after, you will see improvements in range.
Yeah.
However, if you don't act on that, within a day, it's back to where it was.
Yeah. No. So and that's why I've always said it's got to be
It's got to give you the window, basically, and that's the way it needs to be described as well.
You found it's reduced some of your pains before training, were you telling me?
It can. So that's that's what I was sort of saying. Yeah. There is evidence based that it does, for a short period of time, desensitize the neural system.
By battering it with a roller?
Basically creating another stimulus. So it's kind of just...
Because the exercise does not feel as bad as the roller.
Because I attribute 100% of my ankle mobility, which used to be terrible, to all I did was I would foam roll the length of all the tissue from, all the tissue, for 2 minutes, and then do about a 30-second bent flexed knee tracking forward, kind of pulsating. And I'd do that maybe like 3 times a week for however long I did it, a couple months or two. And that got me excellent ankle mobility. And that's about all I did. So would you say that was more, like what was doing more?
I think the second part to that was probably doing more. So the roller might have just created that window for it to move a bit more ease. And then the exercises you did to follow that is what got it stronger.
And how much
more adaptive?
Less effective do you think it would have been without that window opening?
It would have still got there. Yeah. It would have just taken probably a bit longer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So perhaps combined could be useful.
I think so. I think if used in the right way, but where
really has to be specificity to
where it's prescribed as the only thing, then it's a waste of time. You're just inflicting pain in yourself.
I agree.
Amazing. So, and messing about with the fascia, not real. Yeah. What about that metal blade people run on you? What's that? What's that
We'd just fall down, wouldn't we, if our fascial tissue was that receptive?
I love it.
We'd collapse.
I love it. This might be real or no real.
Okay.
I'm not sure about this one. Can a tight neck and shoulders cause headaches?
Yes. You can get tension headaches.
Interesting.
Typically, so the most superior attachment of kind of your trapezius muscle, and there's a few other muscles that come up into here. Bearing in mind these muscles are working all the time. Postural muscles are working all the time.
Superior just means the
highest point, yeah. So these are working all the time. Now, their attachments around some of the junctions in the upper neck, there's a lot of sensitive tissues in there. So you've got all your nerve branches that fire off, you've got your central nervous system in the middle of that. Now, if there is a lot of tension, typically, again, weakness, I would say, would be upper back weakness, which this is where the muscle is attaching to at the base of the skull. It can create irritations, inflammations around there, which can cause headaches. Yeah, that is legit.
Interesting. Really good. I thought that was a great answer. Thank you. Can you have misalignments that can be fixed via manual therapies?
No.
Yes. Good.
Misalignment?
Yeah.
With manual therapies, no. So you mean like chiropractic manipulations?
Osteopaths are into that kind of stuff as well, aren't they?
So they call them adjustments.
Adjustments.
Yeah.
Oh, is this like that hammer stuff where you knock someone's
kind of means more
soul
like when you crack and pop someone's neck.
Oh, more chiropractic stuff.
Is that what you meant?
Manual therapies in general, just any of them, any whether it's massage, pulling, people have tools, cupping, bullshit.
Any manual therapy might, as I keep referring to this window, it might it might desensitize that structure for a period of time to create a window for you to move better. If there is a crack or a pop of a spinal type manipulation, that's very short term. They're not moving any structure there. They're releasing pressure.
Yeah.
They're not putting,
Again, if you jump, if somebody could manipulate you with their hands, and then you jumped, you just splat.
Exactly. You can't put someone's
Be like a jellyfish.
someone's disc back in their back or put their spine back in position. It's
Good.
It's a nonsense.
Good. I'm glad to hear this.
Things are being confirmed.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. We love this. Why are chiropractors fake?
Why don't they exist? And why are they fake?
Why are they not real
Why are they
people?
not real,
Why are
Greg?
they just not real?
It's strange. So chiropractors are not regulated in the same way as physios are. But I'm not saying that's a good thing because there's a lot of regulated physios who aren't good too. So, so we're not saying that's a be all and end all. It's just it's a different theory of practice. And if that's what you want to do, then fine. But don't pay people's money for nothing.
Yeah, it's good. Good. Get them told.
Fake news.
There are very good chiropractors too who will give proper exercise prescription.
All the good things chiros do are physio things.
But they will.
It's the extra magic
but
they put
will
on
do
top.
these, and that's the thing.
If that spray bottle, they found it too.
I need some of that. But yeah, again, it just comes down to, sadly, like there's the minority who ruin it for the entire profession. And but there are good chiropractors. There are ones who will cover away.
And again, I think most of
the language
whether they're
used.
good or not for any of the professions can be summed up by just whether they educate their
Exactly.
clients or not. Like if you walk into a
100%.
chiropractor and they're like, hey, look, this I know what you've come for, and I'm not going to give you 100% that. This is what I can do for you.
Yeah.
That's that, right?
Absolutely.
That works.
Yeah.
That works. And then you can charge me 55.
Or more.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I really like and respect about you guys at White House, where people only really need to have a couple of sessions.
Yeah.
And that, they come once, you'll diagnose as best you can, give them a prescription as best you can, and some advice on what to do. Then they go and do it for a week, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and then follow up.
Yeah.
And then you either recommend they continue, or you
Absolutely.
might swap some things, and then just do that periodically.
Yeah.
Like you said, not weekly.
That is
and
exactly my approach.
Dry
At
needling.
first appointment, I feel it's important to give a diagnosis for reassurance.
Definitely.
To encourage people to move.
Definitely.
What should I should not be doing? Because I don't think it's very rare these days that I would find it quite amazing for anyone to be told to rest anymore. I think that's harmful.
I remember you
Rice.
Yeah, it's just harmful. It's really
I
harmful.
remember you told me once that even after people have like hip replacements and even knee replacements, where they'll chop your knees out and then put a metal one in. The next day, they're trying to get them up on crutches and trying to just put little bits of weight
And all of
through.
the evidence base tells us that
or
the
just moving,
sooner
body
that they're
weight.
moving, the better their recovery.
Movement's the only thing that
It's key.
matters.
Yeah, it's massive.
I mean, even if we talk about something as what people think to be as idealized as like posture, that there is a good posture and anything else is bad posture. Like that you should spend all day like this or something.
Yeah.
The best posture is the most mobile posture. It's going through every facet that the spine can do, not just being here or here all day. It's spending some time in flexion, some time in extension, rotating throughout the day, doing everything.
Movement's
you
is
can do.
huge. And
Movement's it.
Countless patients I see it day one of treatment or assessment. You tell them what you believe is wrong, whether that's a structural or mechanical issue. If you explain it in the right way and say, right, this is what you need to get it better, you can give no treatment just at that point, just advise them. They will come back a week later and they will be better in a lot of instances because they've had the confidence to be told, right, move, go away and get going. It's not...
You're not fragile.
Yeah, exactly. You're not
That's what I
fragile.
found
You
with
know
my
to guard
disabled
and
clients,
protect it.
actually, is that as soon as I discovered that like I can drop them and they don't die, I can bounce them off walls a little bit. We can test the waters. They're humans. They're not going to die. It's fine. Yeah, you can do some stuff.
I've known people get pain relief from your services by you just telling them it's not as bad as they think. I'm not even kidding. People think it's really bad, and you're like, actually, no, I've done some tests on you. You don't seem to have any real bad structural damage. So really, what we just need to do is just keep moving, keep doing your bits of exercise, and they're like, oh, really? I'm actually, it's not.
It's
all right. And then
so
they feel a bit better straight away.
Pain science is complex, very complex.
Oh, very.
And people can very quickly find themselves in a really bad physical way because of the way that their body has perceived pain.
Sometimes psychological pain
Can be,
manifesting as
absolutely.
physical pain.
There's a huge crossover.
Yep.
Emotional, physical.
Yeah.
But again, for me, it comes back to if you can give someone the confidence to actually have capacity to like just trust their body and get going, then that's as good a treatment as any sometimes.
Pain's a crazy thing, isn't it? I've seen studies where some people with slipped discs don't know about it, and some people with slipped discs have got disgusting pain.
The vast
Some people have got
majority-
no slipped discs, they've got awful pain. It's crazy, isn't it?
Not too long ago, there was a study done which basically like MRI'd however many backs in once. They found there were abnormalities in something like over 50%,
And they didn't know.
and only something like less than 5% of them had symptoms.
Yeah.
And this is the problem with imaging sometimes, is that people come to you, I want a scan, I want an MRI. Well, what do you want that for? Well, because I want to know what's wrong. Okay, well, it might draw up a load of red herrings of things that actually you have no symptoms for, which then a consultant or a doctor is going to jump on. You end up going in for surgery with something you didn't really need to have done. And now it works both ways, because there are instances where it will pick things up which are actually really serious and actually did need that medical input. But there's a fine line between kind of
like you said,
how much investigation is required.
There's not one correct posture. Like you're saying, things might look different on the scan, but it might not be an issue for that person. They might be okay. It might just be how they are.
I've seen MRI scans of people who've got significant spinal stenosis, which is where there's a huge impingement on the spinal cord centrally. Now that person should have loss of strength or function in the legs or bladder and bowel, and yet they're functioning completely normally.
And I think that boils down to that pull.
Human body's magical.
That push and pull that you have to have between knowing the facts and then also knowing that every now and then you just have to throw science out the window and look at what's in front of you and go, all right, it doesn't matter what I've learned in the past. Currently, this is the issue, and it's not playing by the rules that I know.
Yeah.
So, whatever you
That's
do.
that's the hardest part, I would say, with as a physio, is knowing when is the point to, when does someone really need some investigation or not?
Yeah.
Because that could be harmful if you miss that window.
Correct.
In some way, and I guess that's why we're insured. So
don't sue me. It won't work.
It's something you learn through experience.
Well,
it
is, yeah. And I think I can remember, when I was younger, early on in my career, I was always kind of keener to investigate a lot sooner than I perhaps now. It would be a rarity for me to think you need a scan. Unless something's blatantly not right at first. And
I imagine a bit of that builds with confidence of having sent people for scans and being like, that wasn't necessary,
Exactly. And exactly that. Yeah.
Do we have one more last nice question?
I've got a couple more nice ones. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We've got 5 minutes left. Not sure if you'll be able to answer this or not.
Okay.
How would a client or a normal person looking for support be able to tell if a physiotherapist
is giving them the correct
a good one or not, essentially? Yeah. Is there a way that a lay person can, apart from getting a recommendation, like for example, at the Slum Society show, we recommend White House Physiotherapy.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I think that typically I would tend to go off a recommendation. That would be the thing I would tend to do if someone has gone to see someone. But
people recommend other people tarot card readers.
Yeah, if you actually the questions I would like to be answered if I was a patient every single time I would see someone as a physio would be, can you tell me what's wrong and your reasoning for that? I guess a diagnosis and a prognosis, time of how long.
Just ask why to everything they give you. Just all right, but why?
I think any person seeing a physio should be certainly, even if it's a provisional diagnosis, first instance, be told what they think is wrong, and then a plan of how to get that better. Because if you're coming out of that appointment not knowing, and then returning to see that person again without.
So if the physio sort of starts at the top, breaks it down, tells you what's wrong, and goes from the beginning.
An explanation. I mean, that would be it's tricky because when people are in pain as well. If you're going to someone and you're literally in pain where you can't take anything in properly as well, and you're on medication, whatever it might be, it's quite difficult. You're putting all your trust in that person to just look after you and do the right job. It's tricky. I guess for anyone who's kind of recommendation is probably your best bet.
Yeah,
it's sort of knowing how to pick one. Well,
recommendation from who?
Yeah, well, that's again someone
good point.
From Slum Society.
A
trustworthy
body.
You do online consultations and stuff, don't you?
Yeah.
Because people all around the world listen to this show.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, we've had people from all over.
Where was our second biggest listener category from? I forgot what European country was it.
Slovakia.
Was it Slovakia?
Or Slovenia.
It was something like that, wasn't it?
Wow.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
That's
great.
great. Big up and shout.
Well, yeah, I
out.
was going to say.
Here we go.
Hello to all those.
You're looking from that area of the woods as well.
So who knows, man?
They'll love you. This big Viking looking guy
man.
here.
Big hands. You haven't seen him stand up. Ooh.
Last thing then, you guys are criminally underrated online. Like you do stuff online and you put stuff online, but not huge followings, unfortunately. So but you guys are a place where people can go and you put out information.
Yeah,
so
we do.
What's your website and social media? So
It's whitehouse-clinic.co.uk.
Whitehouse-clinic.co.uk, yeah. And you've got social media, haven't you?
Yeah, which is WHC, so for White House Clinic, Physio.
Yeah.
That's the Instagram and Facebook pages.
Yeah, lovely. People should go there and follow that.
We're pushing a lot more. Our social media stuff now has been kind of run by a guy who is a previous patient of ours, but he's kind of closely involved with. We put together all the content and he likes it, makes it look great and good.
I remember seeing when you first launched it.
It's growing, yeah. Now compared to where it was a year ago, is much further on. But as I say, we try and cover all bases from kind of general aches and pains to the more specialist stuff too. So we've got some very highly skilled clinicians who work just with one particular joint. So we've got a foot.
You're the spine specialist.
A foot and ankle specialist. We've got a shoulder specialist. Then we've got the sport specific stuff. So ones who are, one of my partners is he's a elite sort of level distance runner. So
Steve.
that's his kind of his thing that he likes.
Surname Canning. Steve
right,
Canning, shout out.
Yeah.
The great and powerful.
He's what?
Some of my clients attended one of his running seminar things.
Well, yeah, so we do some of these.
Yeah.
We try and put these events on. So I think, again, it's about trying to give something to people for nothing as well. I think there's a lot of really bad information out there. So we try and put, whether it be a sports specific thing, or we did a back pain evening one as well, which just, trying to get the right information to people.
So do we. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
And this is the end of the show, gentlemen, because it's exactly 1 o'clock now.
Thank you for having me.
And you have to. No, thank you for coming.
No, we'll have to do it again.
Yeah,
an hour's window is not enough.
It's not long, is it?
No,
it is not long.
Too quick.
Firepower show.
We're firing on all syllables, guys.
We were hammering it from the start, weren't we?
Good.
That's as much info as you can get into 1 hour, isn't it?
Perfect.
We were talking quick. So thank you for coming, Greg. Thank you for coming,
Thanks for
Will.
having me.
Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen.
Cheers. Thank you.
We'll speak to you and see you again soon.
Pip, pip.